Guys, so today I want to talk about a common question we get from clients, and it's should I register for VAT so I can claim back the VAT on my expenses? It's quite a common question, and quite understandably, people want to know what that's about. Is it going to benefit you? What you can get back. So, just to put it out there, it's not always the case, but as a general rule, most of the time you're generally only better off registering for VAT unless you have to. Okay, so there's two types of VAT registrations. One is a compulsory registration, so that's where you have to register for VAT. So if your turnover hits 85k, £85,000 in a rolling 12-month period, and by rolling, I mean it's any 12 months. So if I was checking it today, I would literally go back 12 months. It's not tied to your accounting year and it's not tied to your tax year, which is a big misunderstanding. The other option is voluntary registration. So you don't have to register for VAT. You can have £10,000 worth of turnover, £5,000 worth of turnover, 50, but you choose to register anyway. Okay, so why might you want to register? Generally, it's where you're going to claim more VAT back than what you're going to pay out. So if it's going to benefit you financially, that's when people would register for VAT. The other situation where you might register voluntarily, so as choice, is if all of your customers are businesses. If all of your customers are businesses, it doesn't affect your margin. Okay, so let's say I charge another business who are VAT registered £1,000. If I now charge them £1,000 plus VAT, so that's 20% VAT, so that's £1,200 they now have to pay me, I need to pay that £200 to HMRC. That's not my money. I'm just collecting that VAT on behalf of HMRC. On the other hand, the customer who I'm charging, they will pay me £1,200, but they will claim back the £200 back from HMRC on their VAT return. Okay, so HMRC are neutral, and I'm not any worse off nor's my customer. However, and it's not an exciting story, but when I was first training, I actually had the debate with somebody who at the time was a lot more experienced than me, and they couldn't get their head around that if your customer's not a business, if it's the public, you're not going to benefit by being VAT registered because it affects your margin. Let me give you an example. If you've got a pizza shop and you sell pizzas for £10, let's forget VAT, you're not VAT registered, customer pays £10, you keep £10. You've got some expenses, you've got your overheads, your rent, your staff, making the pizza, let's just ignore all of that for a second. You've got £10 and that's your money, that's your income, okay? If you're VAT registered all of a sudden, you now need to charge 20%. Do you think you want to sell the same amount of pizzas if you now charge £12? So if you just add 20%, of course not. It's going to affect your demand, supply and demand. There's something called price elasticity. So you've got to mess around with your pricing. If you keep on putting your pricing up, your demand's going to go down. So what happens in that instance is the pizza shop would maybe put their prices up a little bit, maybe £11, and then they would treat that as a VAT inclusive. They would treat that as 120%. So what they end up with is less than £10 in their pocket. They're worse off, okay? So long story short, although I've already gave you the long story, is if you have a business where it's business to business, then you can be better off being VAT registered, but you need to have enough VATable expenses to make it worth your while. Otherwise, if it's business to customer, it's generally not worth it, unless you're just starting and you've got hardly no expenses and you've invested a lot in equipment and you want to get the VAT back. Thanks, guys. Cheers.